So the question for this presentation is which banks are available for business bank account opening in Singapore, or which banks will open bank account for foreigner promoted Singapore companies. So the focus of this presentation is on bank account for foreigner promoted Singapore companies. And let's have a look. So the first thing to note here, in Singapore there are more than 120 plus banks. However, out of that only 30 or so banks are prominent in the sense with full banking license. So other companies might be just investment bank or providing limited services. Now out of this 30 also, you cannot approach all the 30 banks because it will primarily depend upon whether they are accepting clients of your profile. For example, some banks may not accept foreigner promoted companies as their clients. The second thing is whether the account is suitable for you, because some banks have very high initial balance requirement. For example, I think Citibank is having a minimum initial balance of 50,000 or 100,000 Singapore dollars. So for majority of customers, this may not be suitable. And what is the process of opening the bank account? Is it manageable or is it overly complicated? So considering this, we are listing here the suitable banks for foreigner promoted companies. Now keep it in mind, these banks are also suitable for the companies which are promoted by Singapore local residents. So first of all, there are three local banks, which is OCBC Bank, DBS Bank and UOB Bank. OCBC is the most friendly one according to me. Their policies are quite reasonable and the process is also quite simple. If you are a client from India, then you can think of Indian bank. For example, State Bank of India and ICICI Bank are quite okay. Other banks like Bank of India and UCO Bank tend to be quite bureaucratic, so you may want to consider that carefully. One key point to note, these are Indian banks. However, that does not mean that you have to be Indian to be able to avail services of these banks. But generally, we have seen clients who are based in India prefer this bank because they tend to have their existing relationship with one of the bank in India. Then there are other regional banks. For example, I have listed here Maybank and ANZ Bank. So these can be considered. Now ANZ Bank tends to be sometimes bit strict and bureaucratic. Maybank is also quite good. So Maybank is the Malaysian bank and their pricing and initial deposit balances requirements are also quite manageable. Then there are other international banks like Citibank, HSBC Bank and Standard Chartered Bank. Now as far as Citibank and HSBC Bank goes, their initial balance requirement is quite high. So you will have to consider it carefully. And their charges are also quite exorbitant. For example, monthly account maintenance fee in some account settings is around 100 Singapore dollars. And then in 2021, Singapore is introducing some digital only banks. So obviously I don't know the names of those banks here, but that will definitely add to a diversity of banking options to foreigner promoted companies. So this slide according to me gives you the overview of which banks you should consider. Normally the corporate secretary firm that is helping you to incorporate the company will have connection with some of the banks, and I will suggest that unless you have specific reasons, just go with their recommendation. Now one thing to note, during the coronavirus period, options are even limited because most of the banks do not support opening up of bank account remotely. So there are only one or two banks which are doing this, and obviously that means you don't have many options.
Thank you for watching this video. This video was brought to you by Epica Consulting Singapore. Subscribe to our channel today to get notified when new videos are posted.